Hello, 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 everybody. We are live. We are live. Let me get on here to make sure I can see it on Facebook. Come on in the room, everybody. Come on in the room. Come on in. Let's see here who's on. I'm going to share this. Let me share this. So, guys, you just see I sent a link with some information as well. So we're going to share that at the end. So come on in. So I'm going to share this video. Let me see. Come on in as I wait for people to come on in. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining. Let's see. And let's see, why is it not letting me share? It's okay, I will share in the end. But guys, thank you guys for joining us. I see people are joining right now. And everybody who knows me knows I like to start on time. I am in a different setting today. So listen, hey, when we rock and we roll, we do it differently sometimes. We're not always in the same setting. For those who do not know me, hello, I am Dr. Maria Graham, and this is Doing Life with Dr. Maria. All right. And so I am a pharmacist by trade, but a lifelong learner on purpose. And my goal is to empower and inspire you to see life from a different perspective. So how do I do this? By educational speakers, transformational speakers. We have them here on the show today. And so today is a really important show because we're going to talk about the common money mistakes. Come on in the room. I see people coming on in. So we're talking about the common money mistakes. Now, we know everything that's going on in this world right now. You know, I tell people all the time, 2020, if I can look back in 2019 and see how 2020 was going, I would have probably prepared a little bit better. And so one thing I wanted to have on as not only a business owner, but a professional as well, to have someone come on and talk about financial planning and the common money mistakes that we're all making, not just in business, but in life. So I have Cynthia on today. Cynthia, hello, welcome.
Hello, Dr. Maria. Thank you for having me. I love your energy.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is a great topic. So one thing I want to say before we get started, if you know someone who spends money, if you know someone who has to spend money, if you know someone who likes to budget and you know someone who does not like to budget, I need you to share it with them right now. So please like and share this information because it's going to be good. I've seen the presentation, y'all. This woman is, y'all know I always say this woman is bad. This person, she is, I've known her for a while now. We met at an event. And she truly blessed me with some tips and guidance along my way on my journey. So please, please, please share this broadcast with anyone you may know. So Cynthia, let's get started. Tell me about yourself.
Well, thank you so very much first for having me. I really appreciate it. My name is Cynthia Richards-Donald. I have been in financial services for over 27 years now. I'm a certified financial planner. I was a wealth advisor for a major Fortune 500 company for about 20 years. And then I decided to move on and be my own boss, right? Have where my clients could be my clients. So I came to MassMutual Carolinas, and later on, Dr. Maria will share a link. I also have a DBA entitled Premier Wealth Transfer Group. And I work with business owners, I work with women, and I work with professionals to help them secure their financial future. If they need some help for budgeting, if they need to find information about their businesses, how we can secure their pay, I do it all. And I have a team behind me. So I'm very excited to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so glad you're here. You know, you could have been anywhere else in the world today, but you decided to join us and the Doing Lifers. So thank you so much. So before we get started, I just want to ask you just one question before we even go into the lunch and learn. Why is it so important that people take control of their money, especially in today's time?
It's vitally important, especially in today's time with the pandemic, people standing in lines for food, to take control of your finances. If you can't do it all at once, you can do baby steps. Even if you've been laid off, you can take baby steps back to see, well, how can I cut? How can I budget? And then it'll just set you up for a better position in the future. So a lot of us aren't taught about money, right? We know we have a debit card, we have a credit card, we might be spending, but we don't want to overspend, keep up with the Joneses.
Mhm.
And if you're doing that, well, people could be making six figures and not have an emergency fund. And that's where we'd have to really take a look back. We want to be prepared.
Well, that's a really good point. And for all my six-figure earners out there, give me some hearts, give me some hearts. But that is so true that there are a lot of people who, from industry standards, from society standards, are making really good money, but they do not have an emergency fund, and could be one paycheck closer to homeless than we think. So this is a really important conversation right now. And again, I'm so excited that you're here today. And so go ahead.
I was going to say, whether it's six figures or four figures, as long as you live within your means,
Yeah.
you can be rich, right?
Right.
So that's the real key, living within your means.
Yes, living within your means. I like that. Somebody type that in the chat, living within your means. Are we living within our means? Are we trying to keep up with the Joneses? And like I always say, you trying to keep up with the Joneses, and the Joneses going bankrupt, or they really, really broke. You just don't know. You really don't know. So that's a really good point to make. So we're going to get this thing started. Again, thank you for doing this lunch and learn with us. So feel free to share your screen when you're ready.
Okay.
Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the hearts, guys. I see you.
Is that working?
Yes, ma'am. I just added.
Okay. Well, let's get started, everyone. Without any further ado, I am very happy to be here with you. And prior to doing so, I do have to go over a little bit of compliance for you. And I like this to be interactive. So type away in the chat if you have questions. Dr. Maria will stop me and I'll answer whatever questions that you may have. But this slide is really just saying, go to your legal professional or your tax professional for advice. As MassMutual, we don't provide the legal or tax advice. And if you need estate planning, please see your estate planning person as well. So before we dive in and understanding what we mean by financial well-being, understanding that term can really help you out. It is all four things on a slide here, having control over the day-to-day and having the capacity to absorb the unexpected. As we go through today's discussion on common money mistakes, we'll be touching upon each of the four parts here and the definition. And you'll see in a second, we're going to loosely follow this outline, the four definition, when we talk about the common money mistakes. We've organized it in an easy way where you're managing your finances, mitigating financial setbacks and staying on track and so forth. But keep in mind, our categories are not the end all be all. So we want to be mindful of that. It's just a way to simplify and help you organize those thoughts. And today, what we're going to do is discuss 52 common money mistakes. Some of them may be obvious. Some of them may not be so obvious. And when we're talking about people, personal finances, as well as if you are in a business, the personal oftentimes bleeds into the business, or the business bleeds into the personal. So it's good for everybody. And our goal today is to simply identify the potential pitfalls that you may come across in the future and hopefully avoid it. So the first section, avoiding money mistakes. The number one thing on the list is not having a budget. If you don't know where you're coming from, you're not going to know where you're going if you don't know where you're coming from. So it's important for everybody, businesses, personally, to have a budget in mind, because that way you can keep track of what you're spending, what you have, and what you don't have. And then sometimes number two is spending more than you make. Oftentimes it's easy to do that. It's easy to spend more than you make, especially if you're swiping. You're not understanding it. You're purchasing things without realizing it. And as I said, we're going to fly through these. So again, please type in your questions. And three, always buying new. I know some people who will get out and they have to have a new car every 4 or 5 years once their lease is up or once they pay for it. But will car A get you to car B? From place A to place B? Yes. Me personally, I had a car for over 20, 25 years, and then I broke down and bought another one. So I keep it for the long term. I make sure I get all of my use out of those cars, right?
Right.
It may not be for everybody, but as soon as you drive off the lot, that car loses value.
Mm-hmm.
And then number four is not understanding the difference between a need and a want. You may, if any of you out there have kids, I know I have 2 sons. Mom, I need this. I need this new phone. I need this. I need that. Well, there's a difference between a need and a want. And sometimes we have to, in our adult life, know the difference between a need and a want.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need the new car. We may want it, but those are the type of things we want to look out for.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 is misjudging the big expenses. So let's say you bought the new car, right? Well, in North Carolina, I know there's something called property tax that you have to pay if you buy a luxury car. Then your insurance might go up. And then there are just other expenses that go along with it. Some people I know who have, I'll call them designer cars, the BMWs and the Mercedes Benz, right?
Right.
Get an oil change. I heard that is expensive. And if one part breaks, it's a lot of money to get that part. So misjudging the big expenses. And number 6, I love number 6, failing to negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't ask, you won't receive, right? So if you have a credit card that's at 19% interest and you call the credit card company and say, hey, I received an offer for a 15% interest credit card. I've been with you for a long time. Is there anything you can do with my rate? I'm sure they want to negotiate with you, right? So always ask. Not taking discounts. That's a big one. Everyone knows about loyalty points and so forth. I can give you an example of this. My brother's girlfriend, she coupons like crazy, right? Gets things for free. But what she does is turns around and on eBay, she has a side business. She made great money in a 6-month period of time. When I say great money, I'm talking mid 4 figures. And it's because she just knew how to, 1, get the coupons, and then 2, resell it and made a profit off of it. Number 8 is paying unnecessary fees. So you're paying unnecessary fees if you are, let's say you're shipping and handling, you may be able to negotiate that and talk those discounts down as well. So always look at the fees that you're paying and failing to negotiate. They all bleed into one another. Number 9 is a great one. It's about not knowing about slow leaks. And this can be reflected in the budget. So one of my coworkers had someone who had a $52 a week Starbucks habit. Now, $52 a week turns out to be, $108 a month? Extrapolate that by 12, that's a lot of money on coffee.
Right.
You can get a can of coffee and brew it yourself, right? And save some. Not planning for, go ahead.
I said, absolutely, you're right. Like $52 a week. I'm like, wow, what?
Well, $5 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
And it adds up.
Yeah.
Number 10 is not planning for irregular expenses. So you have that car, you may have an oil change, something breaks down, and you have these expenses that just pop up. And it's hard to plan for it, but you must budget and pay yourself first, if anybody's heard that saying. And spending frivolously, that really just speaks for itself. Again, with the budget, you can cut some of those leaks and cut off some of those spending habits. So if you're in a situation right now, Dr. Maria asked in the beginning, well, what can people do? Look at what you're spending on. Create that budget, get your bank statement, see what every ATM withdrawal is going to. And that would help you immensely. Then having too many never-ending payments. You have gym memberships. You're not going to the gym, so you probably cut that off, right? And save some there. You're paying for all these different streaming services, or paying for HBO or some type of premium package. And oftentimes these companies are offering them for free, especially during the pandemic. So just check what those automated payments are and those never-ending payments, and see if we can cut back some.
So let me ask you this question, not to cut you off and step back. I know you were talking about having a budget, and then you were talking about paying yourself first. So say if you have an individual, like they're making great money, right? And but they're saying, hey, Cynthia, how can I pay myself first? What does that look like? Because I feel like all my money they're going to bills. I really can't save. Is there any advice that you could give for them to start saving, or even putting $2 to $3 away? If so, what advice would you give to that person?
Yep. So where you can save, I like that $2 to $3. I can't save a thing. You can save something. Save $1 the first week, save $2 the next week, save $3 the week after, and keep going on. And within a year's time, you'd have over $1,000. So when you get to week 46, you're saving $46 that week. 47, you're saving $47 that week. So it's step by step by step. Also, and it'll come in a slide later on, if you're working and your company offers a 401k plan, put in a percentage of your salary. As your salary goes up, it automatically increases the amount that you're saving. So those are great ways. Rule of thumb is, pay yourself 10%. Right, 10% of your salary. But again, if you're on hard times or just starting out, $1 one week, $2 the next week, $3 the next week, and so on. And you'll build a nest egg that way. Okay.
That's a good. Thank
So we look at with not paying attention to interest rates. I alluded to that earlier. You may have credit cards. You may have cable bills, anything that if you're skipping payments, not reviewing your monthly statements as well, it'll cause your interest rates to go up. So 13, 14, and 15 are very, very important. I had a cousin who worked at a company, and regularly they would add $5 here, $4 there to the bill, and people will just pay it. And if you have 1 million people, that's a lot of money that's adding up. So please review your statement, see what you're being charged for. If you miss a payment, that can cause your your credit score to go down, and 2, it can cause your interest rates to go up. So you want to make sure that you're paying your bills on time as well. And then lastly, it's not overspending on gifts. How many of us out there around the holidays, we want to get the bestest, I said, and we're spending money. I'll say, I don't know, you want a nice handbag, right? $200. I'm going to spend this on a bag. And then you don't pay it off the following month. And now that $200 bag ends up costing you $290. That's overspending on gifts. Okay. Now, getting ready to start the next section about mitigating your financial setbacks. Are there any questions, Maria, or keep going?
I do want to make this point too for those who are watching here, and I this is for everyone, but I really want to say this for because I come from a background of us all making 6 figures, right? And our industry has changed. And I think I want us to make sure you share this with your colleagues, you share this with other, pharmacists, healthcare professionals, because our industry is changing and we need to be prepared for it because we don't know what may happen from day to day. And I'm speaking from a personal story and hearing other people's personal stories. So this is so important to me that we have our financial blueprint in order, because I don't want to see anyone in a situation that they are crawling their way out of, trying to trying to figure out the day to day. And I'm just going to put it out here like this. Don't be cocky because you're making 6 figures today. Don't be cocky. Listen to the information, go back to your financial advisor, your planner, and take nuggets from here and say, okay, what do I need to do to set myself up for anything that could possibly happen? Am I doing all, and I'm speaking to myself too, guys. So, when I get on my soapbox, I get on my soapbox, but anything could happen, and I want you to be prepared. So this is why this is so important. I need you to share with other people. We are not, no one's safe right now in any industry. And I want you to make sure that you're prepared and that your financial advisor is giving you the right advice. So you have the tools that you need to go back and take to them and say, how can I build out a better budget? How can I do X, Y, and Z? So I just want to say that, Cynthia. I'm sorry. I just had to say it because I felt it in my spirit that some of us feel like, well, I'm making good money. I don't need this right now. No, I need you to need this. Okay.
And it's very important because I work with pharmacists, I work with dentists just coming out, and I know you're making good money and you want to buy that fancy car. You worked hard, right? You want to reward yourself, but do it within means.
Absolutely.
That's what I say. Take baby steps first. And some of you may have student loan debt. That's something for another day, but we have something for that as well. So let's go through mitigating financial setbacks. Okay. All right. Not having an emergency fund. This is almost as important as not having a budget. So if you're in that setback where you're laid off or you don't have a source of income, when an emergency funds are just for that, it could help you out. It adds as a buffer. And then we look at not having only one source of income. Now, I'm not telling everybody to go out there and find a second job, but what are you passionate about? Right? Dr. Maria, I know she found out what she was passionate about as well, right? Right. So find out what you're passionate about and it won't be work. It'll just be joyful to do and you earn some income while doing it. Those of you who are employed with the company, understand your employer benefits. Sometimes you may not budget for a root canal. It may cost a lot of money to do that. And if you haven't budgeted properly, if you don't have it in your HSA, your health savings account, or in your actual bank account, it may come as a surprise. So you want to know what your company benefits offer. And then carrying too much credit card debt. So one, it's important to, when you have a credit card, if you're not able to pay it off monthly, you should be able to pay it off monthly, but if you're not able to pay it off monthly, at least keep it to under 30% of the credit limit that you have, right? So if you have $10,000 credit limit, don't carry over $3,000 in credit card debt. Reason, one, shows that you have good spending habits, right? And your credit score will go up. When you have a high credit score, everything's cheaper. Two, if you're maxing out your cards and you get laid off, well, the credit card could act as the emergency fund if you don't have that buffer there, right? If you didn't have the real emergency fund, you could use the credit card. So it's important not to have too much debt on those credit cards. Not having an income protection plan. What does that mean, Cynthia? I'm talking to myself. Maria, what does that mean? Well, not having an income protection plan is your most valuable asset is your ability to earn an income. So why not protect that? We protect everything else. We protect our cars, we protect our home, we protect jewelry. Why not protect your most valuable asset, your ability to have that income? And if you're starting out on a business or if you have a business, well, then you want to make sure you're able to keep the lights on if something happens to you, if you become disabled, right? There's protection plans for that where you're not having to suffer your illness or disability and then worry about being paid. Number 22 is also vitally important, especially during COVID, is not having enough life insurance. Oftentimes I hear people say, oh, I just need some burial insurance. If you know, Dr. Maria, do you know who the #1 purchaser of insurance is?
No, what is it? Tell me.
Banks. If you see these CEOs walking around with a $80 million payday after they get laid off or fired. Most of it's done through deferred comp plans or through life insurance. So it's important to get as much group insurance as you can from your job, but it's also important to have a standalone policy. That's how you build generational wealth. If people are thinking about, hey, I want to build generational wealth, the best way to do it is through life insurance. Then number 23 is having too much financial complexity. I like to say, keep it simple. If you have to have a PhD to understand it, it's too complex. And have somebody who is knowledgeable, who can break it down for you. You don't want to, if it's too complicated, there's more risk to your situation. So you can't have it hard to understand. And then 24 is making rush decisions. I know how seniors get scammed. Something happened to my computer once, and it said to call this number. So I called the number. It was high pressure, high sales, and I know better, right? I didn't give out the credit card information because I stopped myself. But if you make rush decisions, if you make impulse buying, there's nothing that can't wait 24 hours for you to really think about it. So just take some time back and do a timeout and give yourself time to think about it. Don't make rush decisions.
That's good.
Okay. Now we're almost to the home stretch. This is staying on track. We want to stay on track, guys, right?
Right.
So not having financial goals. You have to have goals. You have to have goals in everything you do in life, right? So what are your financial goals? And discuss them and review them. A critical mistake is people say, I want $1 million. Well, what's your tracking? What's your savings plan for that? What do you need this $1 million for? What is the goal behind it? Right?
That's a very good point. That's a good, say that again. Like, what's the goal behind? Because everybody wants to be a millionaire, but.
Yeah. What is the goal behind, what's the financial goal that you have? If you want $1 million, well, what's the dream behind the $1 million? Is it having money just to have money? That'll be fine. But are you paying down your debt? Did you save for retirement? Do you have $2 million in a home or something of that nature? So really, it's about mapping out your goals and then mapping out a plan to achieve your goals. Anything in life, right?
So when you say like mapping out your financial goals, would you say, what if you say somebody's saying like, well, I know that I've tapped out on how much money I'm going to make in this company. Are you talking about not as far as savings, but I want to start putting this amount of money into like an annuity or something like that? Are you talking that specific as far as financial goals, or is it more so I want to make $1 million, or I want to make a $50,000 in the next couple of months? Kind of walk me through mapping out those financial goals.
Okay. I want to pay down my debt within the 12-month period. That's my goal. How am I going to achieve that goal, right? You can say you want to do it, but if you're not doing the actions behind it, oftentimes you're flying blind off the seat of your pants, and it doesn't happen. But here is, I want to pay down this I'm going to make it simple, $1,200 in credit card debt that I have. I don't have $1,200 outright. Well, if I do $25 a week, set aside $25 a week, that's $100. Then I pay that on the card. And then the next month do the same thing. And over that year's time, I've paid off my credit card of $1,200. Or a goal could be, I want to start saving more, but I don't have any money. Well, I'm going to start with $1 this week, and I'm going to start with $2 next week, and $3 the week after. And that's mapping out your financial goal. So whatever the goal is, that's something that's personal, and that's something for you to flesh out with your advisor, when they're asking you questions about your goals and what your aspirations are, and then they help you build that roadmap for that. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. Then it's not savings for the future. I often go down to Spelman and mentor the graduating seniors on long-range financial planning. And if you come out of school making $50,000, $80,000, $90,000, I tell them, you have never seen that money before. So put away the maximum. You're going to be happy with whatever is left, right? So if you get a job making $50,000 and you put $10,000 away into a 401k plan automatically, because hey, I don't know how to save, but you can do it that way, then you have 40,000 remaining and you can budget off of that. You haven't seen it. So not savings for the future is very detrimental for everyone involved. There's a statistic out there that says roughly 57% of Americans don't have $25,000 saved, right? These are, and it's even dimmer when you look at a pension plan. Only 1% of the population has a pension plan. So if you're just relying on Social Security, which is coming up, you're going to have to save a little bit more.
Right.
Not automating your savings. But again, if you're one who having trouble savings, just automate it. Have your employer put aside $50, $100 a pay period, even if it's $20 a pay period, into a separate account where you don't have access to, like a credit union, and just save automatically, out of sight, out of mind. Mm-hmm. And I've said this before, again, not taking advantage of your full employer 401k match. I know people say, hey, just put up to the match. But if you know yourself better than anyone else, if you can do over that match, go ahead and put over that match into the 401k plan, because that'll take you a long way. Again, 57% of the people out there don't have over $25,000 saved for retirement. And that has to change.
That's a really good point too. I think like when I started, when I got out of school, I think I put over the max just because my dad was like, do this. Like I had no idea what he was like, just do this. And so he told me to put a little bit over. And fortunately, unfortunately, some things changed in my life. But fortunately, I was able to utilize what I did back then to help me maintain lifestyle as I transitioned from one industry to another. So, yeah.
Exactly. So if you didn't save, if you didn't take your dad's advice at that time, you wouldn't have that to fall back on to get you through that rough time. And then as you work and expand, then you can start another 401k plan or some other type of retirement plan to add on to that one. So you're not alone in that. But if you're not used to savings, that is the best way to do it. Just have it done automatically through the 401k plan. Thanks for sharing that. Then if you're only having a short-term outlook, people just buying for today or spending for today and not looking at the long-term picture, that can just looking at the short-term, that can be detrimental as well. Not changing plans with the times, These little phones we have, they change, right? And everybody wants the latest, but should your plan be updated with the times as well? We're going through COVID right now, going through a pandemic. Watch the spending. If you don't have an advisor, not receiving that professional advice, you should really consider receiving that professional advice. Mm-hmm. And then paying the wrong debts first. Your home is likely your largest asset, your largest liability as well. But the wrong debts, you don't want to just pay off the house and keep paying extra on that without paying attention to the credit cards that may be at 18%, 19%, 15%. So you want to put more of that on those things that can hurt your credit score. Okay. And then prolonging the debt repayment time. Well, this, again, these bleed into the other ones that I said. You're prolonging your debt repayment time and you're paying, maybe some cases 200% more than what you would have paid for in the first place, right? By prolonging that debt repayment. Now, I'm not going to knock you, Miss Maria, and I'm not going to knock myself, but borrowing from retirement accounts. Now, this is something where we say, hey, if you have a 401k plan, sometimes you're paying taxes on those twice. And when we think about it, you put it in on a pre-tax basis, you take it out and you pay taxes on that money as you're repaying it. And then when you take it out later on in retirement, you're paying taxes again. So if you can help from borrowing from a retirement plan, then we want to mitigate that as much as possible. Not understanding retirement costs. Every day is Saturday when you retire, right? So whatever your Saturdays are spent doing, if you're, well, now everybody, I guess, are spending money at Target online, right?
Right.
Or Amazon. Well, every day is that day. So you have to understand the retirement costs and understand how inflation works, right? And then having no retirement distribution strategy. People can save, put in 10, 15, 20% of their salary, become millionaires if they're maxing out by the time they're in their 40s, 50s year old. But that's one aspect of it. The next aspect of it is, how do I take the income from these accounts, the distribution strategy? And not all investments are created the same. So you want to make sure that you have a nice taxable strategy doing that. And for those of you, the demographic, some people may not think Social Security will be around. Some people will receive Social Security. It'll be in some form, but you want to make sure that you understand where Social Security fits into your overall retirement plan as well. Because with the grim statistics that I gave before, 25% have 25,000 or less in their accounts. When they look at Social Security is not going to really be paying you that much, right? Maybe, and it would depend upon what you're making, maybe $15,000 to $25,000 a year. So what else are you going to live on?
That's true.
Right.
So, and you see a lot of people, like I've been reading about a lot of people who are at retirement age have to go back to work. Like I'm seeing it more and more now since the pandemic. I've read a lot of articles lately and I'm like, this is realistic,
It is. So people talk about being greeters at Walmart or wherever, but that's a second source of income. So you do what you have to do in order to do what you want to do, right? To make ends meet. So that is true. So we're into the home stretch, guys. The fourth topic of the day is making decisions, avoiding the following money mistakes. Not talking about money with your partner. Ooh. Now, what's the number one thing that can break up a marriage or a happy finances? Yeah. So you're keeping those financial secrets from one another. I give the example, if you're going out spending $500 on something and your partner is going out spending $300 on something, and now you have a $600 bill that you have to pay. If you didn't talk about what you were spending, you now may be negligent on that bill, maybe late because you didn't have that discussion. 38, not getting professional advice, financial advice. A lot of times people buy on emotion and it can get very tense. So I call myself the financial doctor as well. So I hear a lot, everything more than just financial planning, but I hear a lot. And oftentimes the financial advisor or financial professional will take the emotion out of it and then get down to the facts and get down to the goals and make sure that we're keeping the eye on the ball when we build that financial roadmap and educating you in different areas as well. Then not being knowledgeable about finances. There's a lot out there to know about finances, and some of it is very complex and confusing. But the good thing is that you don't have to know everything. You just have to know the basics, right? Mm-hmm. And if you don't know something, it's always, you can pick up the phone and ask. Dr. Maria put my links up there. My team, we can help you with that. But it's just really the basics. How do I budget? How do I create a debt management plan? The difference between investment types and the impact of interest, just to name a few. Mm-hmm. Waiting to get started with your finances. That's a biggie. So when's the best time to plant a tree? That was 20 years ago, right?
Right.
So, but if you start today, then you can, you're getting started with your finances. That $1 a week, $2 the second week, and so forth. Okay, let's see. We're almost at 52, guys. So not watching your credit score. Credit scores are everything, right? Yes. When it comes to receiving loans, if you have to get a loan to get a business or so, they look at your credit score. So again, how do I get to a great credit score if you're struggling right now? Pay down those variable credit card, close the department store cards. Let's just pay those off. You don't have to close it because that could hurt your credit score. Just pay it off. Don't use it because it's usually 29% interest or so. And as long as you keep your credit cards 30% below, at 30% or below your credit limit, that'll increase your score. 42 is not diversifying your assets, putting all your eggs in one basket. Real estate is great, but if you got to get out of it, that's a hard asset. It's only as great as somebody who wants to purchase it, right?
Yeah.
So not just real estate, cash, investments, diversify your investment holdings.
And that's one point, not to cut you off, that's one point, like we've talked about, we talked over the years. And that's one thing you always told me, like diversifying my assets was very important. And I see now, like I see a lot of people focusing on one asset, like you said, real estate. I know, some people focus on just that. And I know some people focus on just, building this type of business or whatever, but just diversifying your assets is really good. And that's one thing that you've always, from the first time I met you until now, you always say the same thing is, so.
Yeah, you can't rely on one thing. You have to be diversified. And 43 is not having a will or an estate plan. This is very important. This is one of those foundational elements, just like having an emergency fund in your protection planning, is having a will. In the state of North Carolina, I know if you don't have a will, the state will have one for you. And it's especially important if you have children. Who do you want your children to go to in the event something happens to you or your partner or just you, right? So it's very important to make your wishes known. Having out-of-date beneficiary designations. So everything doesn't pass by will. You have contracts out there that pass by beneficiary designation. So every year, once a year, every 2 years, every time you change a job, you want to make sure you check your beneficiary designations to make sure that they're up to date. If you're in a second marriage, you want to check your beneficiary designations as well, because what a surprise it would be if you pass and then the assets that you have go to someone else and not to the person you intended it to go to. So please make sure you have up-to-date beneficiary designations.
Absolutely.
Okay, paying on only the minimum on credit card debt. That'll keep you in debt for years to come. I don't know how many of you receive those statements and say, oh, it's going to take you 30 years to pay off this $3,000. And then you would have paid $7,000 on it. We don't want that. So if I have a lot of credit card debt, what am I doing? I'm looking at the highest interest rate or the one that's going to give me the most satisfaction of paying off first. And I'm going to pay the minimum on the first 3 cards. And on that 4th card, I'm going to put all the extra on that one until that one's paid off. And then we go to the next one. And then I'm going to put everything that I paid off on that 4th card, and I'm going to apply it to that minimum balance. So it's a snowball method. And the avalanche is if you're just tackling the highest credit card first. So that's something you want to do. Spending too much on housing. That's a big one. We like nice houses. It doesn't have to be the biggest house in the world. About 25% of your budget should be spent on housing. And, if you want to stretch that, just make sure we set it at the top of the hour. Just live within your means. Doesn't matter what your income is. You could be a millionaire. And if you're spending like a gazillionaire, you're not going to have enough, right?
Right.
Prioritizing your mortgage over other debt. So I see people doing this. They may have a 30-year mortgage and then they're putting extra payments on the mortgage. And your mortgage is really something that will, one, grow, not your mortgage, but your home. The equity in your home will hopefully grow. It's designed to grow. And it could be a source of income for you later on. So keep your mortgage payment as is and put all that extra on the credit card debt if you have credit card debt. And then once you pay that off, then you can throw it onto the mortgage payment. Prioritizing college funding over retirement. Well, your kids can take a loan, right? You can't take a loan for retirement. So make sure that you've heard the saying, if any of you have flown before, hey, something happens, put your mask on first and then help your partner. So for people entering into retirement, put your mask on first and then you can help the students out.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's a very good advice.
Not reading the fine print. Hey, we're going to consolidate your bills, but we're going to charge you 3% up front. We give you 0% for the 12 months, but if you don't make it, then it jumps up to 19%. So make sure you're reading the fine print. It's very important. And I said this before, making decisions based on emotions and not facts. A lot of times people buy off of emotions. And then sometimes they have regrets afterwards. So make sure you're basing it on facts, and using a financial advisor, financial professional will be able to help you see that. 51. If you're lending to friends and family, I'll just say it's like you're just giving it, right? Right. My rule is don't lend to friends and family. If it is, make it a gift. Don't expect it to be paid back, because you'll have a lot of hurt feelings out there. So that's number 51. And 52, and this is the biggest one, this is probably why we're all here today, is not teaching your kids about money, right? Money does not grow on trees, right? So it's important to teach kids about the different aspects of money, about savings, investments, giving, and charity, and making them well-rounded, and then they'll be well-rounded adults coming out of it. So with that, those are your 52 money mistakes. We want to make sure that you avoid the common money mistakes. We want you to know, how to manage your money, how to absorb financial setbacks and be prepared for it, how you stay on track to meet your financial goals, and then how you make decisions. Some financial mistakes you make in the future will be big, others will be small, and still others will fall somewhere in between. But again, regardless of the size of a mistake, all mistakes can have an impact on your long-term financial strategies to one extent or another. The key to minimizing that is, of course, avoid it altogether, but some mistakes are not to be so cut and dry. And if that is the case, it's important that we identify the errors as quickly as possible and take whatever steps are necessary to right the financial ship. And hopefully we've been able to identify the pitfalls that may come across in the future. So keep these in the back of your mind as you move through your financial life, so you can anticipate them and make adjustments as needed.
Oh, wow.
Again, I'm Cynthia Richards-Donald. I'm a certified financial planner. I've been in the business for 27 years, and my associate, her name is Erica Williams. You're free to give us a call if you have questions. You can send us an email. Dr. Maria, I know you have the links available. Are there any questions that are out there?
I don't see any questions out here. I do see some hearts going up. So I do put the links there as well for people to connect with you on LinkedIn, Facebook, and your website as well. So I can put that again in the comments. Let's see. It's already in the comments as well. So you can go
to my Facebook page.
Yes,
it's for Career Wealth Transfer Group.
Yes, please go to the Facebook page. And I thank you again for coming on. And this is really important to talk about the common mistakes in money. And I think this is such a sensitive subject. Sometimes it's a hard subject, a hard topic to talk about, especially when we do lunch and learns. But I appreciate you coming on and sharing this information with us, because we need this. We needed this yesterday, we need it today, and we're going to need it tomorrow. And I've learned so much, even talking about budgeting and failing to negotiate and paying yourself first. Those are really good tips that sometimes you have to be reminded. Even if you say, I know this, then you have to be reminded, did you pay yourself first this month? Did you do certain things? So I really thank you for coming on today with us.
Well, thank you. Thank you so very much for having me. And on our website, what I will say, is that we do financial education series monthly, quarterly. So if there's a topic that someone's interested in, shoot me an email, let me know, and we can make that happen as well.
Absolutely. So guys, like I know there's some people on here I saw that are part of other different organizations and groups. And if you really feel like this is going to benefit, well, first of all, Phil, I know it's going to benefit someone else in your group, in your circle. Please, go to her website, contact her. Very approachable, because everybody needs to know what's going on right now in your money, managing your money, and how we need to prepare for tomorrow. With that being said, I don't have any questions just yet, but you can still put your questions. Those who are going to watch the replay, please put your questions in the comments, and then I can make sure that Cynthia gets those questions and we can answer those questions for you regarding money. If you don't feel comfortable enough to put it in the comments, you can always put it in my inbox and I will get back to you as well. If you're not my Facebook friend, just say, hey, I put a message in the inbox, so then I can go into looking at whatever the other secret Facebook message box that you really can't find and see all these other messages. So please make sure you let me know that you did put a message in my inbox if we are not Facebook friends and you're watching this. With that being said, anything else, Miss Cynthia? Any takeaways for today?
One thing, our email addresses are up there, so you can email me or you can email Erica directly and ask your questions. And it is vitally important to pay yourself first. Make sure you take some self-care during this time, because I know it's been rough on everybody working from home, or if they have a challenge where they've lost a job. Make sure you give yourself some grace.
Yes. Yes. Ooh, great advice. Give yourself some grace. That is really good advice. Great advice. So again, thank you for joining us today. For those who do not know me, I am Dr. Maria, and this is Miss Cynthia. Oh, hold on. We have one company said this is powerful. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Mike is a phenomenal business man. He helps a lot of business owners here in the city of Charlotte and abroad. So thank you for this. And Miss Cynthia, he said this is powerful. It is. It is.
Thank you. And I'm looking, is that Underdog?
It is.
I haven't seen Underdog in a long time. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. And Dr. Shia said that this is going to be good. So, we understand the importance of managing your money. So if you can manage your money in your life, you can manage your money in your business. We're here to help you. For those, again, who do not know me, I am Dr. Maria, and this is Doing Life with Dr. Maria. And I end my show the same way every time. Now, listen, today is the first day to the rest of your life. So tell me, how are you doing life? Bye, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you. Take care.